Billy S. Gibbons right here, right now, and we're featuring the Gretsch Billy Bow. We're going to play a little blues lick for you, best we can. Doesn't get much simpler than this.
So in that old video, Billy is doing your standard blues 1-4-5, and all of a sudden he starts throwing in all those open strings, and I'm like, man, it's so cool. And it makes me wonder, I'm like, well, how often is he doing this? Because it just seems like such a important part of his style. And I realized that he's doing it all the time in songs that I didn't even realize. Songs that I've been playing wrong for a long time. And we're gonna have to learn how to play them right. So if you're like me, you've probably been playing Sharp Dressed Man wrong your whole life. And today, we're gonna learn it right. So we've got a lot to cover here in the Billy Gibbons world. Now, before we get into all that though, if you guys would, check out my brand new course, Legends Unlocked, Billy Gibbons. You can snag it for 50% off this week. That's the biggest way to support the channel. If you dig what we're doing in the lesson here, the course is all about it. So let's get it. So out of the gate, there's already something here that we got to talk about that I see a lot of people play wrong. A lot of people kick off the song like this. Right there. That's not how the song starts. It starts like this. Right there, this little power chord, and Billy does use his thumb over a lot, on the neck. So I'm gonna focus on kind of just the key points of little things that you can add to the song to make it a little bit more like the way that the Rev is playing it. So what I'm doing there is I'm gonna play 10th fret on the A and the D. Then I go to 8th fret on the low E string. Now I am doing that with my thumb, but you can just think of it as like a normal power chord. He's just kind of cutting it in half. Now when it goes into the next section, which the guitar parts are actually recorded separately. There's two parts happening, so as a three-piece band, Billy just plays it all together, but on the track, it's all separate. You go like this. Now, notice how staccato this first one is. He actually changes the riff slightly a little bit later that we're gonna talk about, but right out of the gate, it's very, very staccato. These notes are not lingering except for the last one. So we have... The last one, you have a little bit more stank on there and a tiny bit of vibrato. But these double stops, it's real, just short and choppy. And of course, he's adding the palm mutes between them. So those double stops are real short and choppy. You've got 10th fret on the D and G. And again, notice how when I play that, I kind of let my finger bounce on the strings. That's how you get that note to just kind of die off right away. You don't want it to linger. That's not what he's doing. Right there. Go back to 8th fret on the D and G. Then you have a single note, 10th fret on the D. And then you do it again, but this time you let that 10th fret on the D ring out and you add a little bit of vibrato. So you got... right there. Now, of course, like I said, he's adding the palm muting between there, so you kind of have to get used to. Now, with the palm muting, he only does that little roll here to kick the song off. He never does that again. But notice how he doesn't do that double palm mute on the low E string. A lot of people always go... No, he only hits it once. Watch a bunch of live videos, all this kind of stuff. You can see Billy, he's only hitting that note once. So, a couple things in the intro there that we see maybe misplayed a little bit. You can always make it your own, but we're trying to play it like the Rev right now. So let's move on to the second half of the intro riff, this part. Oh, how many people have played it like this? So many people. If you listen to the track, that's definitely not how Billy plays it. I watched so many live videos. He plays it the same way every single time. He goes like this. And even on the track, you can hear that is definitely an open string ringing out there. This is what I was talking about in the intro. Billy is always throwing in these open strings all over the place. There's another part that he does this in here in just a second, And I was pretty pumped up when I figured it out. What I'm doing here is I'm going to play 3rd fret on the low E string. 1st fret, hammer onto 3rd, not a slide. The thing I see so many people do is this. They slide into a power chord. That's definitely not what the Rev is doing. He is doing a power chord, but not in this traditional way. Okay, we got a hammer on right there. And then you're gonna play the open G. Now, sometimes he might be going like this. Open G, and then 1st fret on the B. Live, I saw him do it both ways. So I think he's just kind of, he's Billy Gibbons. He's just doing whatever he wants. But you don't play the D string. That is muted. I'm letting my ring finger lay over that string and muting it. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want to have to focus on being real specific. I'm just kind of strumming through the strings. Just like that, because that string's muted. I want the G in there. And if I hit this 1st fret on the B, it's all good. It's cool. It's basically a C5 chord is what we're doing. Got your root, that note's muted. G's your 5th, that's just another root note. So we're playing a power chord, but in the typical Billy Gibbons way, he makes it sound cool, and he's utilizing open strings. He does this a lot. So that's how you play that part. Again, it still sounds cool, but even on the track, you can tell that's an open string ringing out. So that's all the stuff happening in the intro. We're gonna go back to the intro riff here in a minute because he does change it the second time around. But let's talk about the verse because there's a couple of really cool things in here that I want to mention as well. So the verse just kind of continues on that part right there. One thing I want to point out that I thought was cool, as a pinky power chord player, Billy plays all his power chords with his pinky. See some people doing it like this. And the reason why I want to make a note of this is because there's nothing wrong with doing it like this. Using all 3 fingers, getting that higher octave on there. But if you did it that way, it would limit how much Billy is using these open strings here in a second. So to me, it just kind of like is showcasing that Billy is doing it like this, because you can add a lot of stuff, on top of it, using open strings, only holding down these 2 strings, and then having the other strings as options to play open or whatever you want to do with them. So we already have that part there. This part's pretty simple. And then we go to a part, and I watched probably 10 different lesson videos. No one caught this one thing here, and I was so pumped up about it. When he goes to the G chord, Billy does not do this. Like I saw everyone playing. Watch him play it live, and I noticed his hand was picking lower all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, what's he hitting there? And I figured out he's going like this. And to me, that's so cool. Because what's he doing? He's doing a double power chord. He's got the G right here, 3rd fret low E string, to 5th fret on the A, and then he's playing open D, open G, which is the exact same notes. It's basically like an inverted power chord. But if you listen to the track, I always heard him hitting like a second note there, and then watching him live, I'm like, oh, those are open strings. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's just the Rev being the Rev. My wife's laughing at me because I was really proud of myself when I figured that out, because I'm like, ain't nobody taught this yet. Nobody. So that was definitely one of the big moments where I'm like, oh, that's cool. It just shows you how much Billy is just adding these open strings all over the place, just like I mentioned in the beginning. Now, the next thing that's kind of all looped into this little section here, there's a lot of stuff that I see played wrong. And I should add in here that, I played all this stuff wrong. It took me actually digging through all these live videos just because I thought it would be a good exercise to try to figure this stuff out the right way, like the way the Rev is playing it. Now, you have that part there, and then he goes to, and it sounds like he goes like this. Live, he goes like this. But on the track, it really does sound like a slide. So the 2 ways you can do this, and like I said, on the track, it really sounds like a slide. Live, he's doing a hammer-on. It's 3rd fret on the low E string, 1st fret A string power chord, up to that C chord. Again, live, he goes like this though. 3rd fret low E string, same thing that we've been doing in the verse and the intro. And then the next part that I didn't see people play right, because I noticed that the Rev's hand stays down here the whole time. And I'd see people move up here. He goes like this, right here, to kick that off. And actually, that's a riff that I never even like played. I don't know what I was doing the whole time I was playing, but like I never played this riff. Then back into that. So after you do that little ending section, then sharp dressed man, brown out. I'm just doing 1st fret on the D to 3rd fret on the G, 1st fret on the A, 3rd fret on the D. Right there. And like I said, I saw a lot of people do it up here. Double stops or maybe power chords, however they want to do it. The Rev's hand is definitely down here. I love watching the live videos for this stuff because it just shows you what they were probably thinking the whole time. So he finishes with that chord. So after that, he goes back into the intro riff, which he changes ever so slightly. Now, the last time we did it, it was like that, real staccato. The only note that was held out was the last note. Well, now when he does that single note, he holds them both out. So, and there we have it. That's kind of the last thing in there to throw in that he changes, because, you know, it is a little bit different. And then the next time he plays it back to the original staccato way. So, you know what? Billy does what he wants because he's Billy Gibbons. If you're Billy Gibbons, you can also do what you want. And I think that's going to be it. Hope you guys enjoyed that. So, you know, like I said before, I played all of this stuff wrong myself. I was missing a lot of these parts, and when I actually went back and learned it all, it made me appreciate the song so much more, because I always thought it was just so simple, like, oh, that's an easy song to play. It's way more interesting than what I thought. So I'm going to end it on that note. If you guys would, check out the guitar course while it's available this week, 50% off. I really do appreciate it. And we're going to end it bluesy, Billy Gibbons style, like we're down in Mississippi.
Point might be going back to the roots with Jimmy Reed. It doesn't get much simpler than this one.